Hello, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Francis Pinola, and I'm a recovery coach based outside of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. And I've been doing this work for some years now, and literally I live, eat, and breathe this stuff. Most of my life has been about drugs in one way, shape, or form since literally before I was born. And now working in this field and doing this job, I think about it all the time. Whether I'm at work, I'm at home, I'm in the shower, I make these YouTube videos. I'm constantly thinking about the process of how people get into drugs and substance use, the different pathways and that people find themselves in these situations, as well as how people get out and the different kinds of pathways and different things that people need in order to, achieve a life free from their substance or, drugs, whatever you want to say. So a large part of that, I think, is relapse prevention, because by the time someone is in treatment with me, so currently another way that I work is at an outpatient treatment facility. By the time someone's coming there, they have some interest, at least, in achieving a better life for themselves or in recovery. Sometimes they're court ordered, which I was initially court ordered into recovery. That doesn't mean anything. You can be, kind of forced into recovery and then get some clarity of thought from there and go from there. But once they're there, and we get any kind of time, whether it's a day, a couple days, a week, we start building some level of time, in recovery. Now the job becomes relapse prevention. It becomes, how do we keep these behaviors, keep the old things from creeping their way back in, or just a full-blown return to your old behaviors. So, to start off even with my first slide, a large part of my job as a recovery coach is to help people prevent themselves from relapsing. And in my job, in doing this, I've had clients that said, sometimes I can get 30 days. And then I had literally, one of my early on clients said, it's like I can get 30 days, sometimes 3 months, 90 days. And it's like I watch myself walk down the street to my dealer's house and go get the drugs. He's like, it's almost like an out of body experience that I'm not stopping myself. I'm just witnessing these things occurring. And I don't know, for people who've been like a smoker, you can be trying to quit smoking, and next thing you know, you're asking the person at the checkout counter for cigarettes, and you're like, how are these words even coming out of my mouth? I've been there, like all of a sudden it's like these automatic responses, right? So we're trying to really, with recovery, trying to build new behaviors and establish new patterns. That way we break that 30-day cycle, that 90-day cycle. And what I said to that client was, just because you've done something the same way 100 times before doesn't mean we can't do it a new way, a different way going forward. And sure enough, I worked with this client over a period of several years, and we were able to smash that record and continue and then work on other different areas of his life, but the level of the fatalism when I first started working with them is like, this is this thing that is going to occur. It happens every time, whether it's 30 days, 90 days, it's this repeating pattern I'm stuck in and I can't see myself getting out of. So then people come to me, and now you have the desire. You're like, hey, I want to be in recovery, but things keep happening, things come up. Maybe I'm aware, maybe I'm not, of what's leading to the relapse, but inevitably I wind up in the same situation again. So a large part of my job is figuring out how these relapses occur, how we can prevent them, how we can have them happen fewer and farther between, so just to give you some premise for this video. And already I was like, I'll make a short video, just some simple slides. I was like, maybe I'll just read off the slides exactly, like almost like in subtitles, but like if you've watched any of my other videos, like this is what I do. Like I can literally talk about this stuff all day long because it's my life. This is what I do, if there's something I'm an expert in this life, it's drugs and now recovery, coming first in the drugs and then the recovery, which I don't talk a whole lot about my own experience. I've been in different kind of treatments since a teenager, but maybe later on I'll make videos about my own experience, but now I'm more focused on how can I teach people the skills and the things that have helped me build on. I'll be coming up on 9 years in recovery, which is astonishing. The fact I'm even alive, let alone 9 years, is amazing. But I do this relapse prevention by helping clients build up their support network, understand their motivation, and strengthen their coping skills. Because things are going to happen in life. Life's going to throw you curveballs. You're going to have difficulties. You're going to have challenges. You're also going to have periods where things are going so well. Maybe you think, oh, I can add drugs back in. That's going to work out real well. Like these different things happen to people, right? By having a support network and people around you that you can go to, you can talk to, that you're spending time with, that you feel connected to, it greatly improves your chances of successful recovery. Understanding your motivation, the why. What am I doing this for? Am I initially just doing this because I don't want to go to jail, because there's a PO, because my spouse, my child, somebody asked me to, because my doctor told me my liver's not doing great, I've been drinking for decades, like whatever, understanding what brings you sitting here in this seat. Why are you talking to me? Your motivation for recovery, helping understand and build on that, and then strengthen your coping skills, because you can have lots and lots of motivation. You can have a support network, but there's going to be things you're going to go through that you're going to have to cope with. These different seasons of life, these different things that are going to happen that honestly, that's what builds your confidence and your faith in yourself in recovery. When you go through difficult things and you come out the other side of them stronger than when you went into them, it really helps your self-confidence in your recovery that if I can make it through that, I can make it through anything. Like now at this point, that's how I can say with 9 years in, the stuff that I've gone through in my recovery, not easy things, whether it's grief, loss, different things, changes in life, all kinds of different stuff. That's what gives me the confidence that I'm like, if I can make it through that, there ain't nothing on this earth that's going to lead me to getting high now. All right, so moving on. Sorry, I get a little intense sometimes. This is how it is. So I view it as putting different building blocks into place that all connect and build and strengthen to build and strengthen the foundation of their personal recovery. And I've made a slide, which I'm going to reference in a previous, my building blocks of recovery, that I'm kind of, when I meet a person and there's in official, treatment roles, there's a lot of forms that ask people a lot of questions, a lot of different surveys, a lot of different information that they're asking, but a lot of times they don't explain why. And even I feel sometimes to the people that are doing the jobs, they don't fully understand why they're asking for these different things. Like, how does it all fit together, right? So when I get a new client, I'm trying to find out, their living situation, what their resources are. Do you have Medicaid? Do you have insurance? Do you have children that need childcare? Do you have all these different things? Do you have food stamps? Do you have, maybe you already provide for yourself? Are you able to physically provide for yourself? Are you on disability? All these different things, like figuring out what they have in place for their safety, their housing, their resources, their support. Do you have friends and family? Did someone bring them to the appointment? How did they get there? Do they drive? Do they have their own transportation? How is that going to affect them getting back and forth to the appointments, and virtual appointments? Like all these things, you're literally in a quick, even 30-minute, just getting to know somebody session, just by asking these different questions. These are the kind of things that I'm getting an idea of case conceptualization of this person, their lifestyle, their life, before we even get into how they got there, right? Your physical and mental health, like I said, are you disabled? Do they work? Are they unable to work? Can they physically take care of themselves? Do they have other medical conditions or mental health conditions that are actually taking precedent, that we need to make sure we get this stuff taken care of before we can even focus on this? Next part, and this is kind of a deeper one, acceptance and surrender, because sometimes what if the person really doesn't want to be there? And really what you're looking for is a way that I can just get this over with, get this done with, and go back to getting high, or deceive people enough in order so I can keep doing what I'm doing, right? So how can I bring them about accepting and surrendering to the process of recovery itself? I could do a whole videos. I think I have videos on acceptance of just that topic in and of itself. So once again, your motivations, what are your goals, your values, your purpose? And there's carrots and sticks. There's positive things that people are working towards. You have to have positive goals, positive things that you want. Because if everything is just a negative reinforcer, if everything is, I don't want to go to jail, I don't want to die, I don't want this to happen to me, it's effective, but sometimes people get worn out from that and they go, F it. And they don't care about the negative consequences. If you have also positive things that you're working towards, it's, well, I don't want to mess this up. I have this thing I'm looking towards. I have this thing I'm working towards. Like I don't want, any mistakes I make or bad choice I make to affect my goals, and that's kind of where I'm at now. But then it becomes a mixture of both. Yes, I don't want these negative things to happen, but also know that the path I'm taking is helping to achieve these positive results. So then also, like I said, your coping skills. What if I go through grief, loss, lose a job, get injured, someone in my family gets sick and going through difficult times? Maybe it's seasonal depression and I'm do really good during the summer, but I struggle really, heavily during the winter time, gaining more knowledge, more guidance. I even had a client, this was in a group not that long ago. And this was like an older gentleman, and he said how he didn't like asking other people for help, that it made him feel, I guess, weak or inadequate when he had to go to somebody else to ask them for information or help with something. And my feedback was that literally everything you've learned in life, you've learned from somebody else, whether it's verbally, they told you, a teacher, a book, you read something online, some things you experience yourself, but a lot of information you have, knowledge, we're all building off of other people's work. Everything that I get from these videos, I'm taking from people like Albert Ellis, Aaron Beck. In this video, G. Alan Marlatt, like he's like the godfather of, relapse prevention, harm reduction. Like I study these people, I read these people. These are like my heroes I look up to. And I don't think less of myself because I'm building on their work. Albert Ellis was literally building on other people's work. Everybody is building off other people's work. So just soak up this knowledge. Try and understand it. Use your own experience along with it. Then share it. Here's my experience. Here's how I've been working with it. Here's how people around me are working with it. And we just all contribute towards one another. That way we can all get better, all learn new coping skills, all get better knowledge, all have better guidance, be able to guide each other as well as ourselves. Having healthy habits, routines, and hobbies. Literally, one of the biggest, simplest things that I've noticed has helped clients. And these are clients that I've gone from when they were like catching charges and like active use to years later, and they have time and they, their life is unimaginably different than when we had started out, right? Their healthy habits, their routines, and their hobbies. Like they have, whether it's gardening, cooking, I had a client who started actually gardening, then cooking using the stuff that he was gardening, his vegetables and herbs, and then started making like YouTube videos about cooking and everything, like as a hobby. Now the guy also had solid habits and routines. Like on Sunday night, are you prepared for your week ahead? Is your laundry done? Do you have everything ready? Like the night before, like just having a SETI, here's the time I get ready to go to bed, here's the time I take my shower. Like maybe that sounds rigid, but the people that have the most success in recovery that I found, they're very habit oriented and routine oriented people. That by making things simple and routine, there's less anxiety. I'm not flying by the seat of my pants. I'm not just constantly figuring out as I go along. I'm prepared. I know what my morning's going to look like. I know what my evening is going to look like. And for people, that anxiety can be a trigger, depending on what your substance is. Having less anxiety in life and more stability, well, sounds like I'm going to have less, have to cope less, have to use less coping skills because now I have more knowledge and guidance surrounding my anxiety. How can I overcome these things? How can I work on my acceptance so that way I'm not stressing out about things I can't control and worry about the things I can, like my daily choices, how I manage my time, my own personal decision making instead of stressing about all this other stuff in the world. But see, here I go. I could talk about turn this into that whole video on building blocks of recovery. But the image of the stop sign is to represent the new cognitive behavior, or literally creating a new neural pathway. So like in your brain, I describe it as your brain is like a forest, and you have these trails that you've been running over, when I get a trigger and all of a sudden I want to use, I've been going over that same trail forever. Now we're letting that grow over and building a new trail. So now when I'm triggered, I reach for a coping skill. I think of something I've learned, whether, some positive quote, whatever helps you. Listen to a song you like, call a friend, use my support system, like these are different coping skills. But that's literally creating a neural pathway. Instead of going by my initial impulse, now I'm doing something else. Before on a Sunday night, if I wasn't ready for Monday morning, now I'm reminding myself, oh, I should probably get my lunch ready for tomorrow. I should probably make sure all my stuff's done. And then over time, now that's just a new behavior. So there's cognitive behaviors, like your mental behaviors, the thought process you go through, which then affect your actual behaviors. How you think and how you feel affects how you act. So we're starting at the first part of it, if that makes sense. And this is cognitive behavioral therapy, essentially. And this is what gives me hope. This is what gives me the knowledge that anybody can change. Because if I can, like I said, I haven't gotten into my whole experience, but if I can come where I, if I can come from where I came from and, get to this level of peace, acceptance, and life free of substances, then I truly believe anybody can. It says, I've walked this path myself and I've guided others through it. I've seen it work, and it's what gives me hope and lets me say with confidence recovery is possible for anyone. And I had another recovery coach. I was like on like a countrywide training, and he was from like Maine or something. And he said he viewed a recovery coach as like a trail guide, somebody who they knew the common obstacles and pitfalls of this trail. They knew where the challenging spots were, and they've walked it so many times that now I can guide other people through this trail. And just like some of the regular pitfalls, like I can literally tell people when they're coming in, here's usually the path of how things go. And we'll have a conversation like a year from now. I'll remind you of this conversation, and I'll explain to you, like, here's where we're at now. Like, for example, suppose when somebody comes in, they're not working, they have too much time on their hands, and we're coping with, I have too much time on my hands, need to fill my time without sitting around wanting to use. Eventually, then they're working and they have goals and there are things they're working on. Now it's like, how do I manage my time? I feel like there's not enough time in a day. I'm trying to figure out how to still get all my stuff done and my chores done, and pay my bills and do all this. And it's different kinds of stress, different kinds of coping. It takes different kinds of skills, but it's this common pathway that I've literally helped so many people on. But it's funny because I tell them, yeah, right now you have too much time, and eventually you're going to be struggling to return my calls. So like, and we'll laugh because then here they are. Next thing you know, they're working and they're like, oh my God, they just asked me to pick up a shift, and now, we're rescheduling and these different things. And I'm like, remember that conversation we had? Like, this is how stuff goes, but we're going to manage it. We're going to learn new skills, learn new coping skills, work on our time management. It's why we work on these things early on, so that way, as these things arrive, I'm already anticipating these problems, helping to build these skills. So that way, when something happens, I want to create relapse proof clients. So that way, a year from now, 2 years from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, you have the skills that you need. And also I can help you keep learning and building on it. So when we're not working together any longer, you can keep learning on your own and building on your own skills, pursuing your own goals, personal development. Now we're far away from recovery, and like, what do I want to do with my time, my life? And to me, that's also super exciting to get people from there, from recovery to like the personal development level of coaching, and just, personal development, essentially, that is exciting to me. So for more information on coping skills and recovery, check out my other videos. Also, I mentioned him earlier, check out, his name's actually Gordon Allen Marlatt, but it's G. Allen Marlatt if you're looking at like studies. He's the OG of relapse prevention and harm reduction. There's great papers out there by him. I'll put some stuff in the description as well that I found really beneficial. It's like some long form information on relapse prevention. And lastly, if you're not in treatment, please consider it. It's super beneficial, and like I said, recovery is possible for anyone. And lastly, thank you. All right, have a great day.